All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and His Son, the Hamashiach or Hamashiach, who some call Yahushua, Yeshua, Yehoshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. I want to just talk about biblical anachronisms very swiftly. Biblical anachronisms are examples of words and concepts used in the Bible that do not correspond to historical context in which they are written or they were written. Examples include references to modern cities and practices that were not contemporaneous with the events described. Okay. Biblical anachronisms, things that were mentioned kind of outside of the historical context, i.e. Babylon the Timbuktu. If we're reading that like we're reading a movie or whatever, and they're saying, hey, we left 70 AD and then we went into the slave ships of Africa. I mean, the slave markets of Africa. Well, we know 70 AD, Africa wasn't called that. That wasn't the name of Africa. It didn't have that name, so they wouldn't have said, hey, we're going into Africa. But the writer of Babylon and Timbuktu, he probably don't even know. Maybe he don't even know. I'm sure he probably do. He's a historian, but most of us don't know. We know that landmass as Africa, so we're not going to name it as what it was named in 70 AD, because you're not going to understand it, at this particular point. And that's in the text sometimes also, and that's what we have to use to explain certain things. We'll go to Genesis 14 very swiftly. It says, and they ran 14:7, and they returned and came to in Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazazontamar. The Amalekites, if we're saying that the Amalekites come from Edomites, come from the king Amalek, how are they here during the time of Abraham? You would have to explain this as an anachronism. Now, I used to do that until very recent. Salute to my brother Hebrew Elevation. He sent some information that I had to say, you know what? I can't refute it. And I went down there, I done some more things, looked at some other things, looked at some dictionaries, and a lot of this stuff seems to say that they are an ancient nation 2,000-3,000 years ago, during the times of 2,000 years, kind of like 2,000 year BC, 2,000-3,000 years BC. That's during the time of Abraham. And of course, there's other things in the text where I'm seeing Edom and Amalekites kind of mentioned together as different nations, and I can't ignore those things. So I don't think this is an anachronism. But if you want to say that Edom, if you have the understanding, you want to hold on to Edom being the Amalekites being Edomites, you would have to say this is an anachronism, because this is way before Esau. This is before Israel. Okay. Verse 14 also says here, it says, and when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318. It's funny that the servants there is italicized. I wonder if they added that. Let me look here in Genesis 14 and see. I'm sure they did, but I don't know what else there would be. Yeah, it was added by the KJV translators. But we have to say that they were men of the house of Abraham that had to be slaves. But anyway, it's interesting. He armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318 and pursue. And there's something wrong with that they added that to try to give us a little more clarity and understanding on these 318 men, and the fact that we see they were born in his house. Is the KJV people wrong for doing that? Anyway, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. See, imagine if you didn't have the them there. That's also italicized and was added. Imagine if you didn't have that there. And pursued unto Dan. Now you could have still got it, but it just gives you a little more clarity if we add that them in there to help you out. But he pursued them unto Dan. Okay, Dan does not exist. There's a proverb in the that we always use. You see it in the Bible. Man, it was all the way from Dan to Beersheba. And Beersheba is used in here a couple times as an anachronism, that it wasn't Beersheba at that particular time. Of course, we know that Dan didn't exist at this particular time because this is during the time of Abraham. Israel doesn't exist, and they definitely haven't went into the land. And even with saying, well, Moses wrote all of this, and he wrote all of this by himself. How he writing about where Dan land is when he didn't enter into the land? So and some of these things are traditions that we're taking on. We don't know where we're getting this information from, but I just gave this information out here, man, just putting it out here for us to look at, to know certain things. When certain things come at you, I've seen through the anachronism, a lot of people try to use the the camels weren't domesticated to so and such and such and such, so Abraham couldn't have been riding camels and da 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 da. And then I've seen people say, well, we found archaeology that suggests different. That they were probably the camels were probably domesticated a few hundred years before, because of this, because of this archaeology, because of this pottery or whatever that they found, or this coin I think they found with a joker riding a darn camel. So it was like, well, nah, we gotta say that, nah, a little different. But I didn't get too far into that information, but and that's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I'm just giving you the information. You do what you want to do with it. I'm saying, just putting this stuff out here. But and I put it out here because it's something that we need to understand. Just like my brother was bringing out on the last video I just did with Chief Priest, and he was talking about things being historical and things being poetry, and things being prophecy and wisdom and etc. We gotta know if things being hyperbole, things being metaphorics, we have to evaluate all of these things. And we say we have this, we understand this book, and we know how to break these things down better than, we need humility also. We're going to need humility also, and the spirit, and definitely the spirit. But we can't go into this thing thinking we know everything, thinking that, and feeling like we can't be taught nothing, or we can't learn nothing from these folks and that folks. And you can get stuck, and you may feel you in a good spot, but we're gonna be bringing out some things, and that y'all willing in the next couple of days, that's going to show that a lot of Israelites are in a bad spot. They're in a very bad spot. And they're stumbling over that cornerstone, which is prophecy. So I don't even know if the video gonna help, but we still gonna have to put it out here. All right, but that's all I wanted to give y'all, man. I pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one.